How?
John F. Kennedy come into office, and the CIA tried to screw him and lie to him. And he told them he was going to break up the CIA into 1,000 pieces and shatter it to the wind. That's what he said. So the CIA wanted to get him. But what really got him is he sent some troops over to Vietnam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some advisory troops where the South Vietnamese were trying to fight for the democracy and freedom from the North. So we sent a bunch of advisors, military advisors over there, just people to say, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, this is how you're supposed to do it. Well, they ended up getting involved with the war, which they wasn't supposed to be. They were just supposed to be advisors. And like 75 soldiers were killed. And John F. Kennedy said, that's too many American soldiers. I want all my soldiers out by the end of the year. This was the 1st of November, like 2 weeks before he was killed. So he said, that's too many people. I want them out of here. Get them out of Vietnam. Get them out of Vietnam now. And shortly after that, within 2 weeks, President Kennedy was shot in the head.
Ooh.
And when Johnson took over for Kennedy, his next step was to flood Vietnam with American troops and start a big ass war. See, you have companies, same thing with the prisons. You see, because all of it comes down to money. Right? Remember this verse in the Bible. The love of money is the root of all evil.
Yep.
The love of it, not money, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So, Kennedy wanted to take out the troops, and the military-industrial complex, which is Raytheon, McDonnell Douglas, Grumman, all these companies that make weapons of mass destruction, make tanks, make planes, make ships. Well, if we're not at war, these people don't make money. So that's why America's been in perpetual war. We're always at perpetual war. There hasn't been a place in the world that America hadn't started a war. So we've been at war since World War II. And if we wasn't at war, physical war, there was a psychological war, like the Cold War. It's totally psychological.
Yep.
Psychological. There was nobody shooting each other, but we had to spend billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars every year for a threat. Not a war, but a threat of a war.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the way the military-industrial complex makes their money. So when they have a president come in, say like Kennedy or Trump, because Trump didn't start no wars. Think about it. The only presidents that didn't start a war from 1960 to 2016 or 2020, the only two presidents to not start a war was Kennedy and Trump. And I take that back. I'm wrong. Because we had Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter was one of the only presidents that didn't kill anybody.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And you see how he got kicked out, right? So Carter, Jimmy Carter, 76 through 80, Carter didn't want to start no wars, but he played ball and then ran out the clock on him. But when the clock ran out after 4 years, he was done because the military-industrial complex got him out. Then the next thing you know, Reagan comes in. What's he do? He starts spending billions of dollars back on the military, and everybody loved Reagan, right?
Yeah.
So he spends billions of billions back on the military again. So the military-industrial complex, i.e. Northrop Grumman, i.e. Raytheon, and all these military companies.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing you know, they back in business again. Not because of a war, but because of a threat of a war, which was the Cold War. That never happened. But our spending so much money bankrupted Russia, and then the Cold War was over. And then right after the Cold War, think about it. How much? Look, the Cold War was over in 1990. In 1991, less than a year later, we're back at war again in Iraq. And then again in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Then Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then all the little wars in between. So, what I don't understand, and this is what I really don't understand. we have the biggest stick in the whole damn neighborhood. And that is the nuclear weapons. Them weapons are paid for. They sitting in the ground waiting for the button to push. Why do we spend so much money on our military when if somebody was to mess with us, all we'd have to do is push one button one time?
Well, what does that mean?
That means, say, we take away all our army.
Oh, okay.
We take away all our navy. We take away everything the military's got except for the weapons of nuclear weapons, except for our nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And then we state to the world, if you mess with us, this is the only weapon we have and we will use it. That's it. That's all we have to say. We don't have to spend another dime on our military. All we have to say to the world is, we've given up our military, we've given up our planes, we've given up our ships, we've given up our armies, our Marines, and the only thing left in our military inventory are those 5,000 ICBM nuclear weapons that are sitting in a hole ready to go. So if you mess with us and we have to attack you, the only weapon that we're gonna use is the one sitting in that hole that will blow your country, melt your country into a sand pit. So go ahead and mess with it if you want, and that's what you're gonna get. If that happens, guess what we just did? We just saved $1 trillion a year. Let me explain to you what $1 trillion is. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Okay? That is more money than any person on this planet. You could take the top 10 richest people in the world and combine their wealth, and you still wouldn't have $1 trillion. Okay?
What if they attack us? Like, what if they
If they attack us, that's why you tell them. That's why you tell them from the beginning. If you attack us, we will attack you back. But since we don't have planes, since we don't have soldiers, since we don't have jets or boats and ships, the only weapon we got left is that nuclear bomb, and we will use it.
Yeah, but what if they don't care and they just keep attacking?
Well, then you just keep nuking them. We have enough nuclear weapons to destroy the whole world like 10 times over.
Ooh.
Yes, we can nuke every city in this world 10 times over. That means there's not another man, woman, beast alive left on this planet. We have the power to do that.
Yeah, but
No, ain't no but. We just say, listen, if you mess with us, this is what's going to happen to you. And it might happen one time. You might get some crazy person and say, well, we're going to attack the United States. But I guarantee you, once you see a 50 megaton bomb land on top of your city,
Oh my.
you will never attack the United States again. So why do we spend all this money on the military? Because we have to feed the defense contractors. They have to make their money. Same as with the prison systems, you see? So in order to justify to the American people, the pubs, I like to call them the plebs, in order to justify all this taxes that we're taking out of their pocket, away from their family, we justify that by saying, well, we're spending this money on your safety and security. Hold on, man. We done, over the last 50 years, we done bought and paid for 6,000 nuclear weapons. We have enough firepower now to melt the world over 10 times over. So why do we need to keep spending money on the military? We just say use the ones that we've already paid for, which is enough to destroy the world. Why do we need more than what we already got? We don't. Is there a bigger planet somewhere we need to nuke? So $1 trillion a year gets wasted. Wasted. For what? For who?
Yep.
It's not for me. I mean, but let's think about it. If there was a severe threat to the United States government, they would have to use nukes.
I guess who?
Whoever attacks them. China, Russia, whoever. So why do we have 12 aircraft carriers? Why do we need 12 aircraft carriers?
What is that?
Why do we need 12 aircraft carriers at $15 billion to $30 billion a piece? Why? Why are you spending my money on aircraft carriers for? They're pretty much worthless. I mean, we have hypersonic missiles now where they can be taken out at any time by the Chinese. I mean, they're just a target. They're just sacrificial lambs that, you know, when the shit hits the fan, they're going to shoot a hypersonic missile over there to that aircraft carrier, and the aircraft carrier gets sunk. And that's what they want, because then they can look at the American people and say, they've killed 5,000 soldiers, 5,000 sailors, and one of our aircraft carriers at the bottom of the sea. We must go to massive war now. Give us your children so we can go spill their blood over in a foreign country. For what? For who? You? You corrupt piece of shit? Why would I spend my son's blood for your corruptness? Fuck you.
No.
Get that camera out of my face. I didn't even know you were videotaping.